Hi guys, Emma again. Welcome back to the spare room. I have a lot of little projects here that belong to other people, and I promised work to be done on them and it just hasn't happened. So one of the things that I've wanted to do the last little while, and one of the things that having more time will probably do, is get some of these done. The first one off the list is this one. This is an Echuca engine, which is a copy of a Stuart Turner 4 or 10V, I guess. Nice castings. This guy in Sydney was, or in Melbourne was making these. I think he's probably gone out of business. They're a beautiful kit. There's just not the population base here in Australia to keep them going, I think. Everything's here. This belongs to a viewer or a friend in Melbourne. It's pretty nice kit. That's all the reversing gear. He's made a start on this. We have a look at the quality of the casting. This one's the back cover of the steam chest. They're pretty nice. They're all lost wax or investment cast. There's very little draft. Everything's nicely finished. Really top quality castings. And there's a cast or a steel cast crankshaft, which mustn't have been a very cheap part of the kit, but we've got a slide valve, flywheel, set of gaskets already made up, all the nuts and bolts, standard. It's already been sort of started machining, and the two eccentrics for the reversing gear and the con rod. Fittings, they're probably the glands for the steam chest, probably. And some rope packing, all that sort of stuff, and a base. Now, this is moved off the mill table, and when this was being machined, personally, I probably wouldn't have even machined these. Just left them as they were because they're nice enough. But someone's taken a cut off there and kind of chewed that up. The cutter slipped out of the machine, something like that. Anyway, we're going to fix that. We're also going to have a pretty good look at... Oh, there's a cylinder. We're also going to have a pretty good look at this. I'm not sure it's exactly machined right, but we might have to take some steps to fix it. The easiest way to get this back and going again would be just to replace the castings, and that surface was available until reasonably recently, but now we can't. So let's have a look at these two bits. We'll put this aside for a bit. We might get the surface plate here. Just a little one. This iron plate could do with a bit of conditioning probably. It needs to go over again. It's a while since it's been out of its box. And it could do with a rub. But I did give that a clean up with the precision ground flat stones, but it's not quite enough, and just these corners, I might glue this up on the granite in the next week or so and scrape it, but we'll see how we go with that. At this point, I don't think it's too jolly bad. And certainly a cast iron plate's heaps good enough for this sort of work. Now, the concern I have with this casting is that this is thicker here. If we have a look, This is thicker here than here. So I'm wondering if the top's flat for a start. If it is, it's just a casting. Whether this parallel up and down is exactly parallel, or whether it needs some building on there. And what we can do to sort this out. Just looking through there, this slot seems to be pretty good, and that's an unmachined surface, so I'm kind of happy with that. It might be just a defect in the casting. What we'd probably need to do is set up an indicator. And that's within half a thou of parallel. That's really not too shabby. That's got a scribe line on the top, so there's probably be a little bit of a raised ridge. But what have we got? Oh, there we're looking at about 15. And I think we're looking at about 10 there. It depends a bit where we go. Just check it the other way and make sure we haven't moved anything. And yes, we have. So that's about 10 there. That's not shabby at all. Pretty happy with that. Overall height. We probably want to measure this nicely. It's got a bit of a rock in there I don't like much. And there's a dozen ways we can do this, but probably I'm just going to drop the height gauge down through the centre, or the depth micrometer down through the centre. We're looking at 2 inches 700, so inches convert to millimetres, 68.58, so it's a little bit fraction high, so probably that's fixable. I'd like to see half a millimetre. Looking at the drawing, that's 2.3. The drawing really doesn't specify thickness of flange. It only specifies the overall height. I reckon 0.25 of a millimetre off each side here just to clean this up wouldn't hurt. I'm wondering how we can fix this here and whether it's even going to be a problem. It's really not. That casting's within a thou of being parallel there. So this face and this face and this face are parallel. So probably this is a casting issue. It might have come out a little bit hot and it's been twisted. That sits nice and true there. And what we need to do is find out whether this bore is actually parallel. So that's the next job. Don't have anything exactly that diameter to drop down in there. Actually, there's the end of a ER16 collared arbor, and that's exactly right. I might check this for parallel like that. I think is probably the best way to do this. and get my good star at square and just check that with it. It's another good use for these precision ground flat stones. It's a white surface that stands on its own. And just looking through there, we'll check it both ways, but that's great. I can't see any run out that way either, so I'm guessing it's within a couple of thou. But it's certainly not the 25 thou that looks like it's out, because you would certainly see that. So I'm going to call this as being sort of past inspection. I think there's nothing much wrong with that. I'm pretty confident about that. It needs a bit of a stone up on the bottom surfaces and the top surfaces. The holes all look like they're probably close enough to work out if you're just going to drill through them. This does need to be a little bit smaller on the top here. It's only probably a millimetre, something like that. So whether he's going to leave that or whether he's going to set it up on a faceplate and do it. If you set it up on a faceplate and set an indicator on here, you could get it aligned pretty close to machine the outside, because that only needs to be 35mm and it's about 38 there. So I'm going with putting that back in the box. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's certainly as nice as I'd be able to do. Now let's have a look at this base. It all looks not too shabby. It's kind of... it's got some marks in there. I don't know why. Just give that a rub with a file. And I'm really not going to worry about that. I don't think that's something that would concern me at all. With all the parts in, you're not going to see it. The centre of the crank and everything runs in there. This is sort of a next level project for the gentleman who's going to build it. And I'm 100% behind him because I know he can do it, but it's going to push some serious boundaries, I'm sure. To be honest, I nearly wouldn't even worry about this, but what I'm going to do is clean that out with a Dremel and get a little piece of brass and silver solder in there, and we'll give it a file up and a clean up and say that that's going to be good enough. So I'll put all this gear away. This is actually one of my favourite tools. This is a good old Pratt depth micrometer. It's an old tool, but it's a very good tool and it's beautifully finished, nice shape to it. Really like that. It's got the anvils there. Good old Pratt Company, Toolsmiths, Greenfield, Massachusetts. The clasp on this is missing the spring. Whether I ever take that apart and fix it, I'm not sure. Probably I won't, I'll just push it across. But still in its nice case. One of my favourites. And that was a big thank you for Keith Fenner and whoever donated it. Never really going to forget. Put this plate away before I think I'm going to sit down and scrape it. With some fresh oil on. There will be a video about this plate. There hasn't been yet, and it's been, what, 18 months it's been sitting here. I think I did a video about the plates. There'll be a video about the surface plate at some point. I still have some footage somewhere, I think, that I shot when I did it, and I'm probably going to re-scrape it, just finish it off. And having said that, it's plenty good enough for home workshop. This is about 25 points, something like that, 25 points per inch. Thanks to JB from Oz from sending a scraper gauge. That's what that's for. You can blue this up and count the contact points in the window. It gives you points per inch. And this radius is for sharpening scrapers. There's also a box for this, so that's a project that's probably going to be on its way before long. So I've set this up. And get that hot enough so that flows in there, and I think that's pretty good. I'm really feeling like that's going to be a good job. And we're going to let that cool down. That casting's been pretty hot. I'm going to leave that for an hour to cool down, and then I'm going to just cut that sprue off and file him up and probably give it a polish up so it matches the rest, and we'll have a bit of a look at it then. So there we go, a bit of a clean up braze job. That's the existing end there, and that's the rebuilt end. I don't think that's too shabby at all. Time to get this in the mail. Want to see this engine finished, David, so it's, yeah, on its way. So thanks for watching. There are a few jobs that I've promised people that I've been dragging my feet on. Chirpy, you know what I'm talking about. Paul, you know what I'm talking about. If there's a job that or two jobs that I'm going to do for you. John the Greek, you know what you're talking about. I've got a job to do for you too in the next little while. Life gets busy, so here's one out of the way that's been sitting here for 2 years. Let's send it off and get this engine built. And more soon, guys and girls. Be kind to each other.